If you haven't had the opportunity to visit Retroenterior on Instagram and checked out the beautiful designs and recreations that Fernando and Sarab make from Retroenterior, you need to go there. They have the most incredible, beautiful designs for furniture I think I have ever had. Very creative, very inspiring, and I consider them to be those with the golden touch because of the work that they do specifically with gold leaf. Their work is incredible, and I encourage you to go there. They've been established since 2018 and have been transforming furniture for many, many years since then. This was a piece that they recently put out on their website, on Instagram and on Facebook, on their other platforms. And I fell in love with this piece. I have the fiber paper that's featured on here, and I also have the stencil. And I was looking for an idea for putting together something with this fiber paper along the lines of a dresser somehow, but I wasn't quite sure what to do. When they introduced this and gave it to everyone to look at recently, I thought, that's it. That's exactly what I want. And I have the perfect dresser to utilize this. So I set myself on a goal to go out and recreate my own vision of this, what I think is a moth. I don't know if it's a butterfly or a moth, along with the steampunk theme, incorporating Redesign with Prima's stencil and also their other things. So I went out and got the dresser from my storage unit, brought it at home. This is it. It's all red oak, every bit of it. 5 drawers, and the hardware is really, really gorgeous. Original hardware. It even has a key with 2 seahorses on it. Isn't that something? Now, some of the hardware was missing, so I was going to have to figure out what I was going to do about that, because I knew I was going to put this large fiber paper on the outside and incorporate it, and I was going to have to incorporate other things too. So I got to work on it, took out all the drawers, and got started with cleaning it out using my HEPA vac and going to work on it. Now, believe me, this thing was filthy. It had been in a previous owner's garage for many, many years. It was his grandmother's dresser, and I had it in my storage unit for a year, so it was filthy, and I think there had maybe been a mouse in there because it looked like they'd tried to store some kind of seeds in there. I wasn't sure what it was, but I got to work right away using my HEPA vacuum, and of course I have on my headphones so I don't have to listen to that machine, and got started. Then I worked at getting these wheels off and made sure that I took them off, and then I put them away because I did not want to lose those. They were pretty dirty. Now here I'm using Sunnyside TSP substitute. This is a great powder to use that you mix with water to clean your pieces. It's pretty powerful, and it will eat through a lot of dirt and grime and dust, and it has a bit of an acid mix into it. So you want to wear gloves and protect your hands and make sure that you don't splatter it all over yourself. So I got to work and cleaned every bit of it. The drawers, the back, the insides, the outsides, the underside, everything. Because believe me, this piece was absolutely filthy inside. Now, I was delighted to find out that there was no missing parts in it. There's no veneer. It's all solid hardwood oak, so that's wonderful. So I was able to get to start on it right away, just using a sander in places that I could sand, and I also used my surf prep sander in areas that I couldn't reach with my orbital sander. So it was kind of a delight to sand it down to the bare wood that I needed in order to do what I wanted to do with it. It took quite a bit of time to clean it off, and I also go back with acetone and clean in those areas where I can't reach it with anything. Now here I went to work on taking care of the middle drawer. For some reason it wasn't closing properly, so I ended up having to re-glue the joints at the top of the dresser using Tight Bond 3, and then the drawer would open in proper close. It was kind of an issue to get it taken care of, but eventually it worked, and I did have to clamp it down, and once I had done that, then it worked. And I was trying the key out again to make sure that the key would work, and it did. So I didn't have all the hardware I needed, so I used this product in order to seal up the old holes that are in here, because I put holes in the center on each side. Now I got to work on trying to neutralize this red oak. And when I am neutralizing wood, what I normally will do is get my color wheel out and determine where is it on the color wheel of that wood. Wet it down, and then look at the color opposite of that. If you're wanting to neutralize your red wood to avoid getting something pink or orange when you try to do a lighter wash on it, always neutralize it by applying a paint wash the opposite color of the color on the color wheel. This is blue, so this is what I'm going to use to try and neutralize that red oak bright orange color. That's what I did, and there's the blue paint wash that I used. And by applying this, it will tone down that bright orange, so it's no longer a bright orange but a nice mid-tone brown. So here it is after applying the blue paint wash. You notice that it's not a bright orange anymore. It's kind of a mid-tone brown, and that's what I'm aiming for. Now some parts of it were still a little red here because it was still wet, but as it was drying, and you can clearly see that, it was turning a nice shade of tan. And the reason that I was wanting not to go too light or too dark with this was because I was trying to incorporate certain wood tone colors that were within that fiber paper that I had. I also needed to do the sides, and then I needed to do the bottom. So when I worked on my wood tone stain, what I actually use is a paint. Now this is called New Chestnut. I mix that with water in a ratio of 5 to 1, 5 parts water to 1 part paint, and I use my Home Right sprayer with a fine tip needle. Why do I do that? Because applying it this way allows me to control exactly the amount of water-based paint wash I want to put in here, which I'm using as a stain. So using my paint sprayer, I'm able to apply it only in the areas where I want it, and you can see where I'm utilizing it here. You do not have to wipe it back if you're applying it this way. You take your time, you use it by applying it very, very, very lightly, and you pay attention to make sure you're not over applying it. You do not have to wipe it back. Now you'll see here, there's the results of it. It's done and it's dry. It's not pink, it's not orange. Now I'm going to take the bin shellac and I'm applying it to the front of the dresser and to the drawers. That's where I'm going to put the fiber paper, and that's where I'm going to put my base paint before I apply my fiber paper. So I used a spray bin shellac on the drawer fronts and only on the trim fronts where I'm going to paint underneath that fiber paper. That's what I intend to do here. So I used a combination of different paints. One of them was Fusion, and another was Iron Ore that was made by Sherwin-Williams to put on the drawer fronts and the frame with the colors I needed so I could decoupage that fiber paper to the front of that dresser. Now here I am applying Fusion's green paint onto the top there. Now why did I do it right there? Well, I took my fiber paper and put it in front of where I was going to place it, and where the lighter parts of the fiber paper were, which was kind of that color of green, that's where I applied it first. Now I probably carried the green out a little farther than I needed to, but I thought, well, might as well be safe and not sorry. I can always cover it up with the Iron Ore in the areas where I don't need it. So I took my time and made sure I used an artist brush here and applied the base paint very carefully. I didn't use any painter's tape. I've been doing jewelry boxes for a number of years, so I've learned to be particularly careful when I'm applying paint on some of these areas and not getting it all over the frame, because the frame around the side was not going to be painted. Only the drawers and the two different pieces of wood between the drawers, that's all that was going to be utilized for the transfer. Not the transfer, excuse me, the fiber paper. So I proceeded to add the green, and then I took the paper and put it over the dresser to see, is that right where I need it? Yes, it is. I think I used a pencil when I put the paper down to see exactly where that green was, and then I went back in and used the iron ore on the rest of the front of the drawers to make sure that I covered that. Now you can use any color you want in the background of your fiber paper, but understand, when you glue that fiber paper to that paint, you're going to be able to see that color through the fiber paper to some extent. So since this was a dark fiber paper, I really didn't want to use a white. I wanted to use a lighter color where there's green, but I wanted to use something midway for the rest of it. That's why I used iron ore. So I went ahead, finished up, put the rest of the paint on the bottom drawer as I have done on the second drawer and in the top also, and finished that up. I'm taking my time, making sure that I don't get anything on the frame. So there we are. Now I manually set it in front to make sure, is it right? Now here, I have it glued onto the drawers, and I apologize, I didn't get any video of me gluing it on. My camera died and I couldn't do it, but I did decoupage this to the drawer fronts from top to bottom, taking my time and using a razor and cutting and making sure that everything was flush. Now I had to go back on some of those areas where the fiber paper is and glue down some areas where it wasn't good. Now this stencil is also made by Redesign with Prima, and they use this in Retroenterior's dresser also, but they used it in different colors and different placement, but I still wanted to use it because I love the idea that they had. I just wanted to do it differently. So here it is in all its glory. It's finished. I've applied the stencil, I've applied the fiber paper, and I've blended in the paint, and there's the colors all together. I used a checkerboard wallpaper for the insides, and I left the outside as a wood mid-tone color to mirror some of the wood colors that are in that fiber paper. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching.